This resolution is a cowardly act by a group of legislators who have collectively suppressed the needs of veterans for decades. Resolution AR 165 is an attempt by the Speaker, the Majority Leader, and the Chairwoman of the Military and Veterans Affairs Committee to wash their hands of the responsibility to care for veterans in the state of New Jersey. The resolution was introduced by the Majority Leader Greenwald in response to increasing momentum by veterans seeking property tax relief that's been promised to them for nearly 2 decades. Relief that's been sponsored by nearly every member of this legislature, including the Speaker himself and the Chairwoman of the Military and Veterans Affairs Committee. This resolution asks the federal government to provide property tax relief to New Jersey veterans who are disabled in proportion to their disability rating, something I've been demanding New Jersey do for years, and something the Majority Leader, the sponsor, himself has personally prevented from happening. Now, with this resolution, the Majority Leader is unifying the leadership of the democratically controlled state legislature to say tax relief for veterans is a federal issue and not a New Jersey issue. If this passes today, it'll kill the advancement of all veteran property tax relief in the queue and shift the burden of the relief to the federal government. Right now, there are 20 bills to provide property tax relief stuck in the Military and Veterans Affairs Committee that will be permanently stalled by this resolution. Let's start with the truth of the need. Disabled veterans do need property tax relief in New Jersey. The federal government assigns monetary living assistance to service-disabled veterans based on their disability rating. In New Jersey, 100% disabled veterans do not pay property taxes, but 90%, 80%, and 70%, etc., pay all of them. The federal government provides these payments agnostic of where a veteran lives, so the New Jersey veteran sees nearly all of their assistance eaten up by our highest in the nation property taxes. It is fundamentally unfair. But is this a federal government problem? No, absolutely not. If it's anyone's fault, we can directly relate the issue back to the actions of the sponsor of this resolution, Majority Leader Greenwald. For 24 years, Majority Leader Greenwald has been in significant positions of leadership where he has created an environment that pushed New Jersey property tax increases far beyond inflation. But fault aside, here we are, in a place where we know the veterans have a need and we stand firmly in a position to help. This resolution does the opposite of helping. Being a veteran is more than just a title. It represents a set of experiences that 99% of the population who are not veterans have a very hard time comprehending. Imagine listening on the radio as your best friend dies in a helicopter crash. Try and imagine the impacts of being asked to sort through and inventory his bloody clothes the very next day. Consider what it would be like to see a car bomb blow up right in front of you. Try and understand the feeling of flying over, day in and day out, a burnt hole in the field where your 2 friends just got shot down. One who was on the precipice of retirement and one with a child he never met. Think about the pressures and the feelings when you pull out for a flight and the crew chief throws you a crisp salute and you wonder, after you return it, whether the next rocket over the next field will be meant for you, and this may be your last time alive on the ground. These are my experiences. All these things happened to me, and by all measures, they're mild. There are 50,000 disabled veterans in the state of New Jersey, most with experiences that far exceed that of mine. A certain percentage of them are already doomed to the inevitability of suicide, and others will live short lives because of burn pit exposures or cancer or other life-limiting things they expose themselves to for the price of your freedoms. They deserve our support, not meaningless platitudes. I'm asking you, all of you, to reject this nonsensical resolution and stand with the service-disabled veterans of the state of New Jersey. You are in a position to make a difference. Property tax relief for our disabled veterans in this state is possible, and we do not need the federal government to do it. You can do it. Proportional property tax relief would cost $300 million a year. The Stay in New Jersey program which was born 18 years after the idea of helping our veterans, costs $1.3 billion per year. In this resolution, the majority leader is asking the federal government to only give support to disabled veterans who make less than $200,000 a year. If you, majority leader, applied that same standard to the Stay New Jersey program, you would free up the $300 million needed to include the disabled veterans, but you did not do that. Last year, there was $700 million in pork in the state budget, all of which should come after our obligation to our disabled veterans. We can do real relief here in New Jersey. You can do it. The resolution is a cop-out. It's a failure of your oath, and it's an insult to your responsibility for governance. And I'll wrap it up with this. In the last session, Majority Leader Greenwald thanked me for my service and then proceeded to shut down my motion to provide property tax relief for disabled veterans and announced his intention.
Can you stay on the resolution?
He announced his intention to do this resolution.
Assemblyman, you're not on the resolution anymore.
At that point, Mr. Speaker, he announced his intention.
You still are not on the resolution.
Thank you. From then until now, I've been infuriated.
Can we get to the resolution?
I'm on the resolution.
No, you're talking about your emotions.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you vote for this resolution today, you are encouraging a culture of platitudes and meaningless resolutions put up here by the Speaker and the Majority Leader, and prioritizing that over the needs of the veteran community. I urge you to reject this resolution. It's not just bad policy, it's a failure in leadership, and it's a slap in the face to every veteran in the state. Please have the courage, Mr. Speaker, for once, to do the right thing and vote no.
I wasn't looking to speak on this bill, and I'm saddened that veterans have become this bargaining chip and this pawn in this game in a partisan charade of some kind. I want to thank Assemblywoman Dunn for her thoughtful comments. They're always welcomed and appreciated. It's why you've been asked to be and participate in so many pieces of legislation in a bipartisan fashion. And once again, I have to shake my head at Assemblyman Bergen for a lack of diplomacy and understanding of how we operate and what we do. Mr. Bergen, this resolution is being done with the greatest of intent to understand where I believe and where many colleagues believe, and I think when you see the vote that we got a little prelude into when the bill was put up for a vote, I think share, which is, and the one area I disagree with Assemblywoman Dunn is, we run health care for our veterans through Veterans Affairs through the federal government. We run educational resources through the GI Bill through the federal government. This is a significant issue for families and for veterans who have dedicated their lives to the service of this country, of which the state is one of 50. This is absolutely rightfully placed as a tax burden with the federal government to recognize and understand the value that those veterans have put into place. This in no way does this resolution jeopardize the programs that we have already put into existence for veterans that include New Jersey being one of only 16 states in the country, 16 out of 50, that currently provide a total property tax exemption for veterans that are 100% service-connected disabilities. So we already do that. In addition, this bill, this resolution would have zero impact on legislation that we already do, which provides a $6,000 income tax deduction for every honorably discharged veteran who is eligible. Have zero impact on that. What does have an impact on it is when you don't support the budgets of the state of New Jersey, that, if that budget were to fail, would have a dramatic impact. And that has been the burden of the majority party for the last 24 years that Mr. Bergen represents. And I will say that in spite of the ugliness that comes from Mr. Bergen, I have been in this position for 24 years because somebody thinks I'm doing something right. And I will rest my faith and confidence with all of them. The one last thing I would say is the reference that Mr. Bergen makes of bills having momentum, Mr. Bergen's bill had zero momentum. The advocates for veterans for the disabled begged us to not post his bill because his bill was untenable and his bill...
No, Assemblyman, Majority Leader has the floor. You have your light on, you'll get to talk.
Mr. Bergen decided when he went to introduce his bill that disabled veterans should not have an impact on their primary residence, but they should have it on their primary residence and their second home, and regardless of wealth or income. And disabled veterans in this state and in this country who have done well would be the first to say, which is why they didn't support it, and they supported other pieces of legislation that we sponsored. We don't need it. Don't put these other programs for veterans in jeopardy. Mr. Bergen's bill has been constantly one of an opportunity to grandstand and to try to take an opportunity to promote himself.
Assemblyman Bergen, I've given you an awful
veterans.
lot of latitude, and I'm giving the Majority Leader a little bit of latitude here.
So just in closing, those advocates have chastised Assemblyman Bergen, have supported the chair of our committee, Assemblywoman Tucker, and have asked for opportunities to find compromise. This bill does that. It does not jeopardize a single program that exists for veterans that we have supported and put into place, and it places this burden rightfully, like other programs that are so critical to veterans, like health care and education, with the federal government. And finally, in closing, we all talk about, I think in a bipartisan fashion, that New Jersey is a state that receives the least amount of money in federal aid back for what we pay in taxes to the federal government. This is an area where we should be able to come together and say, New Jersey and its veterans and our taxpayers should receive our fair share back for what we provide to the federal government. And Mr. Speaker, with that, I thank you for posting this resolution, and I suspect and I hope it will get the bipartisan support that we saw earlier.
The Majority Leader does what he does so often, which is try and shift this argument into platitudes. The bottom line is New Jersey has an obligation and the ability to do what the disabled veterans need. I didn't once in my speech today advocate for my piece of legislation. I don't care. If you want to put another piece of legislation, Majority Leader, any piece of legislation, all I'm asking you to do is do something for property tax relief for disabled veterans. This particular resolution on the docket right now completely shifts the responsibility to the federal government. The federal government did not make New Jersey taxes high. I would argue Majority Leader Greenwald did. The federal government, it's not the federal government's problem that New Jersey's the highest in the nation taxes. That's not their fault. They're giving the veterans what a veteran needs to support themselves across the rest of the 49 states in the nation. It just so happens that New Jersey keeps layering on the responsibility on municipalities and on school boards that makes our property taxes unsustainable. This resolution today shifts the burden from the state to the federal government. Majority Leader Greenwald or others in this chamber, anybody else, if you have an idea for a property tax bill, I would support it. This resolution shifts it to the federal government. What I am saying is the burden belongs in the state of New Jersey, and I'm speaking from experience. And I know sometimes it might be hard to understand that people lobbying you are trying to massage this crap sandwich you're trying to feed them. I don't want anybody to have to eat it. So I'm telling you, you got to do this in the state of New Jersey. All I'm asking for, fundamentally, is for you to do your job and help the disabled veterans. $6,000 in income tax deductions, you know how much that equates to in your pocket? $150. If you call that something you want to be proud of, God bless you. I don't. Do more. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.